Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. Gun control doesn't work. If anything proves this, it's this most recent thing, the shooting of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Now, within this last week, they have caught the alleged shooter, Luigi Mangione, and everything about the gun that he used proves that gun control doesn't work. You can't stop the signal. Now, don't take this video in any way to be me saying that what he did is okay. Going out and killing someone is not okay, unless it's in self-defense, defending your family, your life, your home. But murder is not okay. But at the same time, he did this in New York. New York has some of the most strict gun control in the nation. And he did it with a 3D printed Glock clone. This video is brought to you by Stopbox. I've started using these every time I have to take a pistol anywhere with me. To the range, on a trip, whatever. Unless it's the pistol that's actually on me, it goes in a Stopbox. This thing is super durable and is totally secure except for to the person that actually knows the combination and knows how to open it, which if you know how to do it, it's very easy and your pistol is ready to go. I love Stopbox. So last week we knew that Luigi Mangione, we didn't know his name yet at the time, had used a pistol with a suppressor. That was relatively obvious from the camera footage. Which, again, suppressors, New York, not supposed to have this stuff. So how did he get it? Well, it has come out that the pistol was 3D printed and the suppressor was possibly 3D printed as well. And that is possible. So 3D printed pistol frame, that is an easy thing to do these days. So his was a Gen 3 Glock clone is what it looks like, which is exactly what the PSA dagger here is. This is not a 3D printed frame. I bought this grip from Palmetto State Armory and built this gun myself. I built this myself and I went through a background check and filled out a 4473 and transferred it through my local FFL, Guffey's Gun and Pawn. But it has been totally legal in this country to build your own guns since before this country was a country. But of course, the Democrats and the anti-gun left have been trying to put a stop to that, especially lately, quite a bit. They've pretty much put Polymer 80 out of business. Like, I'm not sure they're back in business, even though they won some court cases and stuff. Because they're called ghost guns to them. Makes it sound really scary, right? Ghost gun. A ghost gun is just a gun. It's a homemade gun. Most of these guns behind me are pretty much home built. I bought all the components and I did either transfer the grip module on a pistol or the lower receiver on the ARs that I put together. So all of these, yes, they did get transferred to me in an FFL. But there is a thing called 80%. That's what Polymer 80 did. They make 80% Glock frames. They make 80% AR receivers, and then you finish them with a drill press or whatever tooling you have that can do a good job on that. I mean, you want something, the right thing if you're drilling out aluminum in a lower receiver. But 3D printers have become very popular in the last bunch of years. And in fact, they're not even very expensive anymore. Really, anyone, you or I, can get our hands on a 3D printer. And they're used for all kinds of things, not just for making guns. People 3D print all kinds of stuff. But these days, even some of the best suppressors that you can buy are 3D printed. Now, they're not PLA+, they're not plastic. They're 3D printed metal. And they're some of the best, most expensive suppressors that there are. Now, I don't think Luigi Mangione's suppressor was a 3D printed metal suppressor. I don't know for sure. But there is speculation that it might have been 3D printed like the gun was. Meaning that he wouldn't have had to go through the NFA process to get that suppressor. That would make it an illegal suppressor, but how much do you think he cared about the laws? Murder is also illegal. We're going to talk a little bit more about this after a quick word from our channel partner. I'd like to thank Aura to continue sponsoring Sawtooth Tactical. They've been with me for the better part of a year now, and I've been using their service that entire time. And the best way to support Sawtooth Tactical is to sign up for Aura using my link down below. You get 2 weeks free if you use my link. It's only $12 a month after that, and they offer you a lot of stuff. I've talked many times in the past about data broker removal. Well, you've probably noticed that there are data leaks that happen. I get, notifications sometimes, oh, your password was involved in a data leak. Well, when that happens, then all of a sudden, all of your information is available to bad actors. And what they do is they find the data brokers that want to sell your information and they opt you out from those lists. But they do a heck of a lot more than just that. So, spam and junk mail removal. That was one of the biggest ones to me. I don't get spam anymore. I really appreciate that. They have an antivirus. It's all of your online security all in one place. A VPN with safe browsing. So you can be on the internet and you don't have to worry. That's really nice. They have 3 bureau credit monitoring. Again, it's good to know what your credit is doing, especially if something happens to it that wasn't your fault. It's nice to know that right away and be able to take care of it, which these guys will do for you. Scam call protection. I haven't gotten scam calls in the last 9 months, and I used to get them fairly often. And some of them sound pretty legit when they're not. I mean, obviously they're not. But I don't get those anymore ever since I've been using Aura. Password manager. I hate trying to remember 1,000 passwords, which you have to do these days if you are online at all. With Aura, you don't have to worry about that. Home title monitoring. If you own your own home, bad people can actually get your home title out from underneath you if they know what they're doing, and Aura protects you from that as well. You get all this stuff for $12 a month, but again, 2 weeks free if you use my link down below, aura.com/sawtooth-tactical. So when I say you can't stop the signal, I mean, he was in New York where, yes, ghost guns are definitely illegal. Everything's illegal in New York. It's like California. It's ridiculous. It is very difficult to be a law-abiding gun owner in those places, which means that places like that, only the criminals are going to own guns. Think about this case in particular. The guy doing the shooting had I hate to say the word illegal gun, but illegal in New York. The other guy wasn't able to defend himself because as a law-abiding citizen, he probably wasn't allowed to carry a concealed carry weapon in New York. Now, he's the type of person that probably wouldn't have one anyway and would have private security. Not sure why he didn't have private security at that time. But I mean, not everybody walks around with private security all the time, even if you do make $10 million a year. But the thing is that it looks like Luigi, or someone at least, 3D printed his gun for him. Now, when I say 3D printed the gun, you can't 3D, well, yeah, you probably can. But with a regular at-home 3D printer, nobody is 3D printing slides and barrels and trigger components and stuff like that, really. What they do is they 3D print the frame. And the reason for that is the frame is the serialized portion. This is the part that you have to transfer through an FFL. All the other parts, you can literally order and have them shipped directly to your house. They are just components. They're not considered regulated items. And so people that don't want to go through an FFL, well, they can either, do an 80%er or now 3D print a lower, a pistol lower or an AR lower. Now they're probably not going to be, a 3D printed AR lower is not going to be the same as this ADM lower here. But it might do the trick for however long you need it to. It'll definitely hold your trigger components and screw your buffer tube into it and all that. And a 3D printed Glock frame, I mean, this frame is polymer anyway. So 3D printing one, not really a problem if you know what you're doing. 3D printers aren't illegal. They want to make it illegal to 3D print guns, but how are they going to stop people from doing what they want in the privacy of their own homes? And this is kind of where gun control people need to realize at some point that their fight is pointless. There's nothing that they can do to stop criminals from having guns. All that gun control will ever do is stop law-abiding citizens from being able to protect themselves from those criminals. Because with technology these days, and 3D printers are only going to get better. You know, big companies, like I said, are 3D printing some of the best suppressors in the world now. Well, it wasn't that many years ago that a regular 3D printer that did plastic was not something that the average Joe could just go and get and have in their home. Now, pretty much everyone can afford one. So how long will it be before people will be able to 3D print metal in their homes? You know, I'm not super savvy as far as all of that tech goes. I've never 3D printed anything. And all my guns did go through FFLs. I've got absolutely nothing to hide. But that doesn't even matter. The point isn't even having anything to hide. The point of the Second Amendment is to possibly protect yourselves against a tyrannical government. And so, really, when it comes down to the point of the Second Amendment, do you really want the government knowing what you've got anyway? That's kind of the point. So even totally law-abiding, harmless, otherwise harmless individuals do have a good reason to want to make firearms at home without having to go through an FFL. Because the government shouldn't know what you have. They should not care what you have. If you are not hurting anybody, what business is it of theirs what guns you have in your home to protect you and your family, right? My whole point of this, though, is just that. This happened in New York, where there is the strictest gun control in the country. This guy used a 3D printed gun. He didn't, and he had no prior criminal history. He could have walked in to a gun store and transferred a firearm through an FFL just fine. That wouldn't have stopped this crime from happening either. You know, if you don't have any prior like mental or legal history, you're going to be able to buy a gun just fine. Now, usually people would think that you would home build one like he did so that you could ditch it and then there's no way to trace you. That's their whole thing with ghost guns. Why they're so scary is that they're untraceable. All they are is a gun without a number on it. It's no different really than any other gun. But the thing is, he kept that thing on him even though it was an untraceable gun. Which also begs the question, is this whole thing legit? You know, my spidey sense is going off just a little bit on this. And I've said this on the channel before, I don't want to wear a tinfoil hat, but God, if you're such a smart guy, to be caught like a week later with the gun, with the suppressor, the same clothes and everything on you, that seems almost like he wanted to get caught, or he's a fall guy for something. I don't know, man. It's a little bit like too tidy almost. But anyway, gun control doesn't work. You can't stop the signal. Even if they made all of this stuff illegal, people will still be able to make stuff at home. And especially criminals, they're going to be able to get guns no matter what. So you might as well make it easy for law-abiding people to get these to be able to protect themselves from those criminals. And that is the point of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Make sure you subscribe to Sawtooth Tactical and let me know down in the comments what you think about the whole Luigi Mangione situation with the United Healthcare CEO. And I don't know, give me your conspiracy theories down below. From Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.